Yeah. How was that? Welcome to David Christopher's. We are so excited to be here with you today because David and I are wearing our green in preparation for St. Patrick's Day.
Right.
We're ready, right?
It's like the flash.
You have green pants and a green shirt. You're like green on green.
This is the most dressed up I've ever been for a video, I think.
Well, you look very nice. And we have this beautiful green swag David's going to decorate. And he's telling me that he plans to decorate this for St. Patrick's Day as well as Mardi Gras.
Yeah, so we're going to try and make a 2-in-1 where you can have one thing that you take a couple of pieces out of and then add something into it to make it St. Patrick's Day. Mm-hmm. Because the great thing about Mardi Gras and St. Patrick's Day is they have lots of green in common.
Very pretty. So it makes me think of an outfit where you're accessorizing differently. So we're going to have like a base of green, and then you're going
and then you change the belt and the earrings, yes. And it's Mardi Gras.
Yeah, it's ready for Mardi Gras.
That's exactly what
Okay, well, let's jump right in, and I'm sure along the way we may have some updates for you because we'll probably be chatting a little bit. You have a little hair on your shirt, but it looks like a cat hair, but we don't have any cats.
Oh, goodness.
Meow.
So the first thing we are going to do is we're going to be using this vinyl pine teardrop, just like Jennifer said, that we use a lot at Christmas, and we don't add as much to it, but for the spring, we use a lot of them as well for those periods of time. And we're going to use this hanging smilax vine and just kind of put that right into the middle area here. And the great thing about these pine swags is we can just take a couple of pieces of pine and twist that around, and then your smilax vine is not going anywhere. But the smilax really helps this look a lot more natural. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this, some of these hanging pieces, and we're going to let those drape a little differently and tuck those in and use some of the pine to help secure that into place. So like we have a super long piece here. So we're just gonna give it a little bit of a curve, almost like ribbon, and then secure that into place. Okay, so we've got most everything, for the most part, looks a lot more natural like this, a lot more hanging off of it. We've got that nice greenery effect going on over the teardrop, so you really don't see very much pine up here except up here at the top, and we're going to use bows really to hide that. So the first thing we are going to do is we're going to use this shimmery emerald stripe, and I'm going to tie a bow with it.
I just want to take a moment and say what a great idea that is, no matter what you're deciding to do going forward. This smilax, what did you call it? Is it a
hanging smilax?
Hanging smilax. Okay. Mm-hmm. Carry on.
And then, yeah, so like Jen's saying, from this point, it doesn't have to be St. Patrick's or Mardi Gras. It doesn't have to have glitter or shine or anything in that realm. We really could add floral to this and some spring ribbon and call this, you know, something great for your front doors. We do use a lot of these for double doors because they're a little narrower and they're a little longer, so a lot of people like to use that for double doors, like I said. But we are going to make a nice loose bow out of this green stripe ribbon. It's got this great deep color to it, you know, kind of like my shirt.
Mm-hmm.
The first time I think Jen was actually wishing she had something of this color in her wardrobe that I had. Well, you were commenting on my pants. You needed pants that were my color.
His pants coordinate with my shirt better than they coordinate with his shirt. And I had green pants, but they didn't match my shirt. They were more this color of green. So we were really trying to get our green together this morning.
But for the most part, you're always like, you don't have anything this color to coordinate with me?
That's right.
And go,
but you did have green.
It was gray or black or blue. Probably not. or plaid. Okay. Occasionally I get the plaids.
You get the plaids?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we've made 4 loops on each side of this ribbon. We're going to cap it off right there. Put a piece of wire on this. And then cut the ribbon. And then, like I said, it's kind of a loose bow. It's not a super tight, perfect shape. We've got pretty good length to each of the loops here. So we've got this going on. We're going to add that to our teardrop. And it's really just like finding a place where it kind of goes underneath the hanger. Anywhere is really fine with that. We're going to hide a lot of that, the rest of that pine with bow. So really can't tell there's any pine in this at this point. But we've got our natural greens and we've got kind of our glittery greens. And really, I'm going to add some more natural greens to this. This is our Lavish Lavender Fern Spray. So what we've got with this is we've got a little bit of fern, a little bit of eucalyptus, and there's a little bit of light lavender in that. And again, great thing about the pine teardrop that we're using is we can really just stick that down in there and use a piece of this pine to twist around that. No glue necessary. You can if you choose to, but like I said, we are gonna exchange some of these pieces to make this a little more St. Patty's Day. What was so Patrick was his first name or last name?
Patrick was his first name, I think.
Patrick what?
I'll have to Google
I
it.
think Saint's his first name.
No, I think he just was a saint.
Yeah. Saint's not the first name, but I don't know. It's gotta be like
His name was
O'Connor's.
actually believed to be something totally different, which I cannot pronounce.
Maywin, that's right. I forgot.
I
forgot his name was Maywin.
He adopted the name Patrick, meaning father figure, after becoming a priest. So he's the patron saint of Ireland, who introduced Christianity to the country, according to some sources.
So popular to contrary ideas. It's to pay homage to the saint who introduced Christianity to Ireland, not just a drinking holiday.
Right, how did that happen? What in the world?
Kind of went the other way on that one, I think.
You get all kinds of stories, and even when you Google his name, it's like, oh, so you think you know the real story of St. Patrick? Some people say he was from Scotland. Some people say he was Italian. Some people say he was born into a British family.
Cannot be Italian. That's not close enough.
This is why you can't trust everything you read on the internet, kids.
Kids. That's true.
Definitely don't read Wikipedia. It's like bathroom truck stall writing. Anyone can go there.
It's scratched into the wall?
No, but anyone can go there and write whatever they want.
Yeah, as long as you have a knife.
As long as you have, yeah.
Scratch it into
If
the
you have a permanent marker.
surrounding. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they're carving into the bathroom walls. They're like taking a Sharpie and writing, call this number for. and harass Barbara.
Go off the rails.
Well, I've seen all
Train
kinds.
just completely derailed.
Sorry, go back to your
Back to the ribbons and floral demonstration.
Yes.
Currently in progress.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to be adding some purple and gold, nice emerald back to this dot ribbon. We have some fleur-de-lis pattern also. And I do have a couple of gold stems. Like I said, we're going to add this. For the most part, this is going to remain. And we're just going to pull out our purple and gold. So we're just going to add a little bit of this in. Like I said, use a little piece of that pine to secure.
What if I told you that he was not Irish
I think we knew that.
and his name wasn't Patrick?
Yeah, maybe. From VeggieTales, I remember the VeggieTales.
He was actually born in Britain around the turn of the 4th century. At 16 years old, Irish raiders captured him in the midst of an attack on his family's estate. The raiders then took him to Ireland and held him captive for 6 years. After escaping, he went back to England for religious training and was sent back to Ireland many years later as a missionary. That's one version of the story.
One version leads me to believe there might be multiple versions.
There are multiple versions. You all can comment and let us know, what do you know about this St. Patrick?
Where do you stand on St. Patrick being kidnapped by pirate raiders and not the Los Angeles Raiders or Las Vegas Raiders? We added a little gold. So we've still got some natural going on. We're adding a little bit of that gold just for, Mardi Gras sake. One of those other holidays that's got religious background that kind of got hijacked by drinking. Why do they all get hijacked by drinking?
I don't really know.
So for this, what we're going to do is we're going to make a few different loops. And it's going to be, we really are just making a single loop, and we're going to add that tail to it so that we can add this in really wherever you want. So once you've already got a bow situated like this, we can go in and just somehow go underneath that bow, under a little spot. The hard part is finding somewhere on the back to make sure that you have to secure it to, because you want to try to go around that main piece right there. Gotta get my wire all the way through here. Okay. And then we're going to twist that in. As long as that's good and tight. We'll do that on both sides. But that gives us instant double bow. So instead of tying both of those together, we can add a loop here and a loop here, and we'll add a couple in the middle here, and it will look like we tied it all together, even though we did not. And that will also allow us to take it out if you do not need it, which we will not after Mardi Gras. So repeat the process on the other side.
When I think of Mardi Gras, I always think of our customer, not just Christmas, Miss Melinda.
She was so nice. She brought us a
Queen cake. Not a
cake,
king
which
cake.
is a take on a king cake. It was so good that you could not eat very much of it in a very short period of time.
Very, very
Or you
sweet.
may go into a diabetic coma.
But she has a shop in Louisiana.
St. Charles, is that correct?
I think
I
so.
want to say it's St. Charles. Not sure where St. Charles is.
I'm looking to make sure. Yes, no, Lake
Doing
Charles.
Research on Wikipedia today.
Lake Charles.
Lake Charles.
Lake Charles, Louisiana. So if you were near Lake Charles.
Lake St. Charles.
Yeah, I know.
That's going to be stuck in my head like that forever now.
You just got Saint in your mind because of St. Patrick. But she is at 521 Alamo Street, and she placed a very large Christmas order with us. So if you are near that location, come fall and Christmas, you're going to want to shop with her. However, she's not just Christmas. She also purchases spring and every day and Mardi Gras, lots and lots of Mardi Gras.
Being in Louisiana, I can imagine that's a thing.
Yes, so
But you have to do Mardi Gras.
we'd love for y'all to visit her if you're nearby. Go by and say hi. She's extremely sweet, small business. She pretty much does most of it by herself, I think.
We can appreciate.
Yes, we know that she's doing a lot of hard work, but she loves it. That's what it takes, is a passion to stay with it. You got to love it, or you're not going to last very long.
Yeah, it's not easy. So if you don't want to do it, you probably won't stick with it too long. And we're gonna go right into about the center of our bow here, just underneath. So we need to complete this integration. We're getting software together by adding our get my wires to go through. There we go.
You got your wires crossed?
Yeah, wires crossed. Got putting our last piece of this ribbon up here in the top. And now it kind of looks like we've blended that into our bow. You can add one more little piece, so we'll do the exact same thing. We're going to leave a little bit longer tail. We're going to bunch that together in the back, fold it down, and if you need ribbon tying tutorial, we have those in somewhere on YouTube.
And we have a playlist. You're just doing like a one loop.
Just one loop, that's all we need. We're just going to give it a little bit of dimension down here with our one loop. We're going to put that further down for the base. Then we are going to add just a little bit of our fleur-de-lis. Just to completely secure that Mardi Gras feel. Now, when you are tying a bow with something that has a vertical pattern, once you turn that this way, your other streamer will be upside down. So rather than leave it upside down, I just cut it and add it back into the back, correct, in the right side version. We're going to go underneath where we've placed our single loop bow here. And again, finding where your wire connects in the back is the hardest part of the whole process. Then we're going to add a couple of single loops to our bow on the top because we want to fully integrate all of our ribbon into the entire piece. So single loop, one tail, lace this. And repeat on the other side. And then we have one little spot in the center where we need to add a little bit of fleur-de-lis, but we really don't need a lot of, if any, streamer necessarily, so we're just going to do a very small piece, a small loop, and then we're going to cut it. And then maybe just to even it out, we'll do another little small streamer on the other side. And then I ran out of wire. So we have successfully integrated all of our pieces. We're just going to go through and cut some tails in the ribbon. And you can change these up if you prefer to, you know, just make some at an angle. You can do that. You can curl some. You know, it's all really just up to you how you would prefer to do it. There's lots of different ways to make the ribbon here. So but I do like to be consistent. So if I'm going to cut little ribbon tails in my fleur-de-lis, I'll probably cut ribbon tails in all the fleur-de-lis patterns.
And I think that's an important detail to make sure that the tails on your ribbon, they might not be perfect, but sometimes I see people cut them just willy-nilly, just like it's not a big deal, and it looks wonky, and it's just a very small detail. But I feel like it can make a lot of difference in your product looking finished versus messy. No pressure.
No pressure.
And a lot of that has to do with using sharp scissors, which you're not doing today.
I'm not.
We have ribbon scissors somewhere.
Somewhere in the showroom, there are ribbon scissors. I did not get them, which I may regret. But we're going to make it work. So, like I said, if you want to, you can curl the ribbon. This one I'm curling because it's got that green on the back. I'm curling it kind of upside down, reversing it on itself. So we have a lot of different variety going on. We've got angles cut, we have curled ribbon, we have tails cut in the ribbon, and that's pretty much our Mardi Gras piece. Like, this would be a great, you know, corsage for Mardi Gras. That angle. Wrist corsage.
A wrist corsage.
Yeah, it's maybe a little small for that, but we're getting there. We'll get there eventually. But so we've got our Mardi Gras piece done, and now we want to kind of undo that and start working on our St. Patrick's Day. So if you wanted to, you can just leave, we're going to leave all the green, we're going to take out the gold, and we're going to take out the purple, but we are going to leave this little lavender because it just makes me kind of think of very natural. I think it will work with our Ireland kind of theme. Now we're going to spend a little time undoing what we just did. Some of you may prefer to not go Mardi Gras at all and just go straight to the Ireland kind of, the Irish version. Just our solid green, our St. Patrick's Day. So we can remove those pieces, and then we're going to remove our gold as well, so that we're left with the natural greens, and we're just going to repeat that throughout the entire thing. We're just going to be careful not to remove our wire for our green bow. Just make sure you don't accidentally get that one in your undoing. Because we're going to be adding some of our shamrocks. These are, I really don't know what it's called.
St. Patrick's clover.
But these have lighter green and darker green shamrocks, as well as some white and green glittered berries. So hopefully this will work well when we get all of our greens added into the all of our different shades of green added into the bow. And we're going to add one kind of on the sides. And don't forget to wrap that piece of pine around it. That's going to keep it from coming out.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody's noticed, you haven't used any hot glue.
I
And
mentioned that.
yeah, but I
No glue,
no glue. I see videos all the time, and I see people taking forever to their glue every little piece, and I just want to say, you don't have to do that.
Well, sometimes glue can be.
Yeah, depending. It depends on where you're putting it, but sometimes it's like, you know, if you just use the base to hook it in, it's probably not going anywhere.
Yeah, if you do a good job of wiring that vinyl garland, vinyl pine around it, it's going to stay in. So we've got some shamrocks. We're going to add a little bit more of our lighter green ribbon. Similar to what we just did.
I like how the lighter green ribbon pulls in the color on the shamrocks. Is this going to be a kit?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I guess it could be. We'll do a couple more loops. We need one, fill in a little space here, and we need a little bit of that light green coming behind. So very similar to what we did in the with the Mardi Gras ribbon.
So just coming in for a closer look to show how this is tucked behind the larger ribbon. You can see the space in between.
And then I'm going to turn this one kind of vertical in my bow space so I don't even have to tie one up at the top. That kind of fill in and gives me, a little bit of that toward the top and the bottom. And then we can add a little bit of our Gypsophilia. I actually think this one's called Winter Daphne. I'm not sure how it happened, but I'm pretty sure that's what this one's called. I am going to cut some of this. So this is the first time I've used wire cutters today. You wouldn't necessarily have to cut it. It is a fairly large branch though, so you might want to. I'm just going to cut it down a little bit so we can add this in behind. And add a little bit of that white. Little tiny bit with the shamrocks. We're gonna make it, and then we're gonna add a little white to the sides. So we're just gonna stick this little piece in, and again use some of that pine to wrap around it, and just twist it, and it's stuck in there for good. Same thing on the other side. And then that would leave us with this half piece here that we're going to stick up more toward the middle.
So how many pieces of this did you use?
So far 2. I think we're going to use 3 in total.
So you're cutting it apart.
And cutting this one. this one down towards the bottom.
Train.
And since I used my long piece here and I used a piece here, I've got a little spot on this side that I need to add some. Just bring some of that white around to this side. I'm gonna cut the tails while we finish this.
So you're calling this one done.
Mm.
We're gonna move on. You decided to give them one more idea.
Yeah, I think we're gonna transition this one yet again. And keep most of it, just take a little bit of it out and do spring. So we're going to remove our St. Patrick's Day clover spray. Undo that pine from it. Take the stems out. We can use those again next year.
Yep.
Or do something completely different.
You have 4 of those.
I do have 4 of those. And for this, we're going to keep our emerald green. We're going to keep our light green mix. And we're going to add our blue green. It's got just a hint of yellow in it, but it's mostly deep green plaid with blue and a little bit of yellow. Would work great for those ducks you saw the other day.
The what?
The little ducks with the hats.
Oh.
Like the little blue and yellow, like blue ribbon.
Oh,
bonnet,
I was showing you. Yeah, the people are saying that the ducks with the blue are coming back.
Blue ducks.
Well, the ducks.
Blue
Yeah,
hats
the ducks are and they have blue. It's like plates and things like that. Some of you probably remember those. You may even still have some. I don't know. But that was very popular at one point in time.
I think that was the mid to late 80s.
It's a goose, right?
Goose.
Yeah.
Duck.
Or maybe it's
One of those things.
I don't know. I know that a lot of people are into the geese these days.
Somebody out there, it's like they're not ducks, they're mallards, they're speckled Canadian, Nova Scotian geese. I don't know. Somebody's gonna correct us, I know.
That's okay. We'll learn something new. We're open to learning new things. We don't know it all.
We certainly do not. So we're going to mix that in. I think that's going to look great together.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do a couple of single loops in the center of the bow that already exists. I'd like to get more wire ready to go.
You were going through the wire today.
I'm going through some wire today. Well, you want a decent length of wire, which is probably more than what I'm using myself to make this work, because I'm cutting it in half. Do not have to use more wire. Not necessarily working in all cases, but we are going to try and go around this bow.
Nice.
So we're still cheating. We're still adding bow on top of bow, which keeps you from having to redo bow. There's no point in doing that. a bit of a waste of time if you don't have to.
You can use less ribbon this way as well.
Yeah.
Possibly. I mean, it looks like you would anyway. A little bit less.
Well, it's also just if you are not 100% confident in your bow tying abilities, but you can tie a single loop or a couple of loops, this is a good way to tie a giant bow without having to do lots and lots of loops at one time. Some people's hands get really cranked up, especially with some of the wider ribbon.
Yeah.
We have 12-inch wag ribbon,
Mhm.
like velvet, for Christmas this year, and I know people are like, "How do you tie that?" Like, well, I mean, you can. It is a little difficult on the finger strength sometimes, but you can do it. And the great thing about wire ribbon is if you mash something, you can always shape it back out to where you want it. And we just needed a little bit of pattern in here. We could, of course, add many more loops if you wanted to. I may add just one or two to the top. But other than that, you know, we don't necessarily have to add this to the sides. So we are just going to do a couple of slightly larger loops to go toward the top. Always like a game of hide and seek with your ribbon wire. So we've added our ribbon in. Now we're going to move on to probably my favorite thing to add. And this spring, I'm probably going to be using a lot of our butterfly spray. And this is the teal blue color. We have like 5 colors. We have like a traditional monarch color, we have hot pink, we have I can't even remember all the colors, but there's a lot of colors in this, and I'm really excited. One reason is because I think the patterns turned out and the colors turned out really good. The other reason is these are really inexpensive. So if you need something for a party or an event that's going to be really fun and showy and inexpensive, I'm going to suggest butterflies. And we're just going to wrap that pine around these just like the clover sprays. See if we can get some almost inside the bow here. And then we're going to bend some of these that we stick in upside down. You just kind of have to bend those back around to a state where you can see more of the butterfly. When you use one of these super long, these are really long branches. This is half of it. This is a whole branch. Really long, so if you need something tall, these are great. But since we're doing something a little bit on the smaller side here, we're going to only use part of it. Cut apart. So just keep in mind to bend these butterflies back up. So if you see them, they're not facing down. And our last piece we're going to be adding today. No more add-ins, no more takeaways.
How many of these did you add in?
That is 3 butterfly sprays. And that's why I say I really like using this, because to me that's a lot of appeal for a very inexpensive price. That we get to add all these butterflies in, and like I said, this was a very inexpensive spray.
We hope you enjoyed today's video where you were able to see the 3 different ideas on one base. So if you go to our website, shopdavidchristopher's.com, you're going to see all the items that we used in today's video. If you check the description box here, we're going to have a link to the collection of all these items so you don't have to look through everything on the website to find each of the things that David has used today. And I may even put together some kits so that you can just buy the kit with everything you need, get it home, and put it together. And I would suggest, depending on, we'll make 3 separate kits. That way you can pick whichever one you want, and you can supplement with the other items. So if you want to add something on, like if you want to change it and add the plaid ribbon and the butterfly.
Because everybody may not be as crazy as me and want to go from Mardi Gras to St. Patrick's to spring off of everything, off of half of it staying the same.
Right. If you like this video, we hope that you will leave us a comment, that you will also subscribe so you don't miss upcoming videos. And again, we are trying to get back into a routine. It's just been very difficult. We've closed down our brick and mortar retail store, and that's taking time doing some different things, and there's just always irons in the fire. But hopefully we'll get back into a regular routine, especially as more product becomes available to us, because we want to show you new stuff, and it's just not all here yet.
And if you didn't like this video, we have others. There's probably better ones out there.
We're rusty. And glittery.
Yeah, we thought we were glitter.
No.